This stunning revelation to German engineers and technicians of America's rapid jet engine and fighter production, particularly around the Lockheed P-80 Shooting Star, which entered limited operational testing in Europe by early 1945, symbolizing how American industry closed the gap on German jet technology. ME-262 first flew 1941, operational 1944, through sheer scale and speed. January 1945. A frozen airfield somewhere in southern Germany under leaden winter sky. Snow dusts the crocked concrete. A captured American Lockheed P-80 Shooting Star sits silent on its landing gear, its sleek nose pointed toward the horizon like an arrow loosed from across the ocean. The whine of its Alice Chalmers J-33 turbojet has faded, leaving only the low moan of wind through bare trees and the distant rumble of artillery. German technicians in oil-stained coveralls circle the machine warily, tools in gloved hands, breath clouding the air. One man reaches out, almost reverently, to trace the smooth contours of the engine intake. This moment mattered because by early 1945, the Luftwaffe clung to its Messerschmitt Me-262, the world's first operational jet fighter, as a desperate miracle weapon. Introduced in combat the previous summer, the 262 sliced through Allied bomber formations at speeds no piston-engine aircraft could match. German engineers had pioneered axial flow turbojets years ahead of their enemies. Hans von Ohain's concepts dated to the late 1930s, and the Jumo 004 engine powered the 262 with roughly 1,980 pounds of thrust, yet production crawled. Allied bombing, material shortages, especially heat-resistant alloys, and Hitler's erotic interference limited output to perhaps 1,400 Me-262s built, with fewer than 300 ever reaching frontline units. Fuel was rationed so tightly that many jets sat idle. The Reich's technological edge existed largely on paper. The German technicians expected superiority. They believed their jet represented the future, a slender, turbine-driven spear that rendered propeller-driven fighters obsolete. When intelligence reports spoke of American jets, many dismissed them as crude copies or propaganda. The P-80, they assumed, must be a rushed imitation, hampered by inexperience, lacking the refined aerodynamics and metallurgy of German designs. They anticipated flaws, perhaps overheating bearings, fragile compressor blades, or pitiful thrust-to-weight ratios that would doom it against the Me-262's proven lethality. What they found shattered those illusions. As they disassembled cowlings and peered inside the J-33 engine, license-built from British Whittle-derived designs but massively scaled, the scale of American achievement became undeniable. The engine produced over 4,000 pounds of thrust in early versions, nearly double the Jumo 004's output, yet weighed less per unit of power thanks to superior American manufacturing tolerances and material sourcing. Production lines in Burbank, California had turned out the XP-80 prototype in a mere 143 days from go-ahead in mid-1944. By January 1945, a handful of P-80s had crossed the Atlantic in Operation Extraversion, secretly deployed to Italy for combat evaluation against German jets. Where Germany struggled to assemble a few hundred Me-262 amid rubble and raids, American factories, untouched by bombs, churned out airframes and engines at rates that seemed impossible. Lockheed alone would deliver hundreds of P-80s before war's end, foreshadowing post-war dominance. One recurring symbol threaded through their stunned examination, the humble tin can of rations discarded near the cockpit. American abundance manifested even here. A simple tin of Spam or condensed milk, sturdy, mass-produced, sealed to time, lay in the snow beside precision-machined turbine blades. To the Germans, who rationed ersatz coffee and scraped synthetic rubber for tires, that tin represented more than food. It embodied the inexhaustible flow of resources that fed factories running 3 shifts, powered by electricity from dams spanning rivers, fueled by oil fields that never knew blackout. Every bolt, every weld on the P-80 spoke of a democracy that could summon aluminum, chromium, and nickel from continents away, while the Reich scavenged scrap from bombed cities. Documented accounts from captured German technical reports and post-war interrogations of Luftwaffe engineers reveal the shock. One Messerschmitt specialist examining Allied jet components after surrender noted in his debriefing that American engines demonstrated production engineering on a scale we could not comprehend. Another technician, viewing photographs of American assembly lines, reportedly murmured that America had not merely caught up, it had leaped ahead through organization and sheer volume. U.S. Army Air Force's records confirm that by late 1944, intelligence already tracked German jet deployments, yet American response moved with deliberate speed. The P-80 flew operationally in Europe before VE Day, proving the design sound enough to escort bombers if needed. This encounter transformed perception. The men who once viewed their jets as the pinnacle of Aryan ingenuity now confronted the limits of ideology. National Socialism promised technological supremacy through will and racial purity. Instead, it delivered bottlenecks and purges of Jewish scientists who might have accelerated programs. American democracy, messy, capitalist, immigrant-fueled, harnessed collective effort on an industrial scale that ideology alone could never match. The technicians left the hangar quieter, their confidence in inevitable German victory eroded. Some later admitted in captivity that seeing the P-80 crystallized the war's outcome, not superior design alone, but the capacity to produce it endlessly. In the end, that single tin can lying in the snow beside the jet carries the larger truth. Freedom and abundance are not accidents of geography, they are the quiet engines of resilience. When a nation can feed its workers steak and send tin cans across oceans while still forging turbine blades that outthrust its enemies, victory becomes less a matter of genius than of sustained belief in open society. The jet age dawned not in secret German hangars, but in the roar of American factories, where the hum of machinery answered the challenge of tyranny with the simple, relentless rhythm of production. And in that rhythm echoed a promise that no wall of ideology can forever withstand the tide of free peoples working together.